What is up, everybody? Welcome to my show. Today is an interesting guest. And Bob, I'll let you introduce yourself. You and I met because of Stone's Live Poker. And so do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Bob O'Sullivan. I am the former producer of Stones Live. I actually built, engineered
Yeah.
the system from the ground up. Nobody knows it better than me, I think.
Yeah. So you and I met when Stone's Live first started. You were a key figure. You were brought in by Roger Bailey, the same as I was. Was that what you
Right,
were? Yeah.
right, yeah.
And you basically built the show from the ground up. We had nothing when you got there. And you were the producer, and I don't think you and I ever had a fight, but we got along well. We got along great.
Yes.
And you and I were messaging each other on Twitter, and I asked if you wanted to come do the show, and you were saying how you were surprised that no one had contacted you, like the DOJ or anyone.
Right.
And so why don't we go back? Tell me like the timeline of when you were at Stones, what are the things you were working on in the tech booth?
Well, let's see. I started with Stones, like, with the inception of Stones Live, the same time that you did. So I guess that was 2016 or something, somewhere
I think
around
it was
there.
like late 2015.
Yeah, probably.
I can't even
So
remember the year either.
yeah, this has been a weird year. Um, I think I was there just about a little under 2 years, I think. Is that about?
Yeah, I would say maybe a little more, but I
Um,
remember you there for most of the time.
so yes, like I said, I built that system from the ground up. We had nothing. I begged for microphones. I begged for wires. I begged for
Cameras.
computers and cameras. Right. Um, Eventually, we built a couple of custom systems, a computer to actually produce the stream, merge the commentators along with the delayed game feed from another computer. And the reason why I did that, I wanted it to be isolated because I knew that there was an inherent security risk if somebody didn't know exactly what they were doing. Um, so um, security was actually like 99% of my thinking all the way through. Okay, how do we make this secure? How do we make this secure? Because I was very concerned that somebody could gain access to one of the systems and could potentially, you know, um,
Do what Mike did.
Right. And this has nothing to do with the software. The software is about as secure as it can be. It's all about the operator. It's all about the producer at that time. When I say producer, there's TV producers, but that's not how I mean it. I mean a a producer is somebody who's actually sitting behind the computer at the time producing the live stream, yeah, actually getting it out there to the people. So it's not a producer that sits in some high rise somewhere
Yeah.
and and so
Yeah, I know what you mean. So what you're saying is, so first, before I ask you more details about how that could potentially have happened, you said that there were two computer systems running, one for the live stream live, and what do you mean? Can you break that down for me? You said you had two systems?
there was one system that was exclusively for pushing the content out to the viewers.
That you mean like to Twitch, to YouTube?
Exactly. Yes. We used XSplit, and we used a connection from the other computer that already fed me a delayed feed. So there was no possible way that that computer that was going live could possibly ever receive content before its time. It was
Yeah.
pre-delayed from the other computer.
So the only people who had access, what you're saying, the only people who had access to the live stream information were the people in the back room, the producer.
Correct. Um, uh, Anybody would have had access or could actually see. And that's why most of the time, these things, like especially with poker games and things like that, the control room is kept completely separate from everything else, just so people can't see a screen or something like that. But most notably, the producer at the time, he has the password to be able to either let that non-delayed feed out onto what they call an Rtmp stream. So there's a potential there that that computer could be at risk if not shut down like prior to every game, because the way we used to test the cards was remotely, and we would test the cards 2 decks prior to every show, and we would do that with another software that simply mimicked a screen of a live feed, just so we knew an ace when it was an ace and a queen was a queen, et cetera, make sure everything around the table was functioning correctly. And that was done with that other computer that was hosting the software, the poker software. So now, after testing the cards, I would always make sure to disable that Rtmp stream and physically disconnect it from the internet. So, I explained to people that were testing cards. I explained, why and how I did that and why it was so important. Whether they got it or not, I don't know. If I remember, you had to actually stop the stream before you could disable the Rtmp, if I remember correctly. Once you did that, there was nothing anybody could do to gain access to that live stream without having like some kind of VNC connection or something that would have been password protected. Um, and uh, Really, that's the only way that it can be done, actually.
So let me ask you a few questions. First with the cards, and then with like how this could have potentially happened. So I remember there were times where you had to stop the game, and I remember we had let's say the Queen of Hearts was registered as the Seven of Diamonds.
Right.
And is it true that if that is the case, it would affect every single hand until we recalibrate the cards?
I would think so. I'm more of a geek than a poker player, but I can't
Well, I'm
figure
saying with
out
the
how.
RFID when you're setting the cards up.
Sure, if you accidentally put a 7 down and tell the machine it's an ace, then of course the machine is always going to think.
Yeah,
That's
so
an
why
ace.
I'm asking is because there were times where they kept changing Mike's hands and said that it was a card reader error, but then in the next hand, the cards would be read fine. And I remember that not actually being a thing.
Yeah, unless they changed the deck, it's pretty doubtful. We were using cards for a while that the quality went downhill, and we were getting misreads and it wouldn't retain information, but we switched cards, and that was while I was still there. We switched to a much better brand, much more robust brand, and either read or not, it wouldn't give you false information.
So when did you actually leave? I just want to get the timeline right.
Oh God.
Because I think it was before Mike started cheating, right?
Oh yeah, because I read about it actually,
Yeah.
and I was like, you see, this is why I should have been there. This would have never happened.
So so you're telling me that you had to shut off this separate system that was like pretending to be a live stream so that you could test the cards before you actually went live. The if that's a correct summary of it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So tell me now how you think this could have happened.
I think that the producer, they didn't shut off the RTMP stream used for testing cards. Um, and I think that the producer gave a player a password to access the network to be able to view everything in real time.
So this is a stream that's kind of running parallel to the live stream is kind of what you're saying. It mimics the stream and it is mostly for testing purposes.
Oh yeah.
The one that Mike potentially could have had access to.
Yes,
So he was I'm assuming you saw the videos where he was on his phone and he was looking down at his we saw a picture of him holding his phone and there's like a blue screen. Would that be typical of having access to that stream?
If you saw a blue screen, that could be a lot of things. That could be a VNC viewer. Yeah, sure. Um, um, I don't. If you saw cards, but you saw a blue screen behind it, with no players, no table or anything like that, that uh, you would have seen that live, and you would have seen it on the live stream as well, because that would have meant that cameras weren't on or something if you see a blue screen or green screen or anything like that. But it's hard to know what you actually saw, because when you're looking at a phone on a camera, you don't know what you're actually
Yeah.
seeing. You could it could be all messed up frequencies.
Do you know if anyone else had access to the live stream while we were live?
Nobody did, except for me. When I was doing it, nobody had access
While you were there?
while I was there. Right. Those passwords were in my head. They weren't written down anywhere or anything like that. So there's no possible way that somebody could have guessed or anything like that while I was there.
So what you're telling me is that from your perspective, because you're more technically sound than me at this, and you've been doing this and you were the producer of Stones Live, you think the only way that Mike could have done this is that the producer gave him access somehow to the live feed.
That's what I think. Yeah. I can't figure out any other method to break into that system the way I built it, unless that occurred. And if something was added later or something, I don't know. I mean, the system was very complex, and to add something wouldn't have been easy.
So to me, that would make sense, because when I first started thinking that he could have potentially been cheating, I was looking to see which tech people were there consistently. And it wasn't as consistent as I thought. And I was like, well, how is he still cheating when this person isn't there? Because I had my ideas about who it might be.
Right.
But that would make sense that he would just have some sort of password to the system. Now, tell me, would the password change on a regular basis? Is that something that like changes on a daily basis? It's just one password and it's...
Yeah. I mean, you can, but normally,
You wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could have potentially... Now, this stream has to be running parallel. Is it something that all the time is turned on, tested, and then turned off, and then the stream starts? Or if they don't turn it off, then they don't turn it off? Is it consistent?
If they don't turn it off, they don't turn it off.
But
so
do they, is
it
it
could
like
be every time they start the software, it automatically starts starts that feed. Yeah.
What I'm asking is that, was it a part before every stream to turn on this parallel stream for testing? It was like a
Yes.
regular thing before every game?
Yes. Before every game, you turn it on, and I mean, yeah, and test the cards. And it was just part of my routine. You know, you go in, you go over to the table with a laptop. That laptop is seeing something else because of a BNC viewer. Um, and then you're placing the cards. You take everything when you're done testing. You take the laptop back to the control room and shut everything off, and then start the stream. I mean, it was
So,
just part of the process.
so has the DOJ contacted you?
No, not at all.
I find that very surprising.
See, I mean, I do.
In some ways, it is surprising. In some ways, it's not. I don't think they have any incentive to do anything about this.
Right. I see. I think that too. No lawyers have contacted me. Nobody has contacted me at all. And I mean, I know more about that system than anybody else.
Without naming anyone, are you pretty sure you know who is behind this besides Mike?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I think you know who I think was involved. And I think we spoke before that we have different ideas about that. And that's fine. I'm going to tell you some stuff after we stop recording.
Okay.
Because I think some information is more about interactions than it is about, like, it wouldn't be enough to base it off of. And I think I base my assumptions off of all of my interactions with people. Do you think that upper management in Stones knew what was going on?
I don't know. I think eventually they became aware, and so that was
Might have been too late by then.
Yeah, it was too late, and it was at that point it was a cover up, you know. But I don't think upper management knew enough about how the system worked. I don't think anybody knew enough about how the system worked.
When you left, do you think that they knew what they were doing? Because I feel like when you left, it was like a panic. Do you feel that they knew how to work the system, that they had people competent enough to work that system to keep the security?
They thought they did, but they didn't. They clearly didn't. I mean, you could see it in the first several broadcasts that I watched. They were just it was just
I was doing
terrible.
commentary.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yes. I mean, the audio was out of sync. Everything was out of sync. All these little details that I used to try to stay on top of. A lot can happen during a broadcast. You know, you don't know what anybody's going to do. You don't know what anybody's going to say. So, and then you have all this equipment that can possibly fail or just glitch for a second, and it's enough to throw everything off. And so you have to know every part of the system. You have to know what could be happening where, because you're running two shows simultaneously. You're running one that's 30 minutes behind the producer, but yet the producer needs to merge these two shows and get them out to the viewing audience, and the producer has to know what happened 30 minutes ago as well as what's happening now, and it's a hard job.
So I'm just trying to think of some questions that would be relevant. Did you ever see Mike come into the technical booth and talk to you guys?
Never. pretty much we shut everybody down. Anybody who wanted to walk into that technical booth, they simply were not allowed. And a little caveat was I didn't know who Ryan was one night, and he wanted to get into the tech booth, and I said, "No, sir, you're not allowed." Then I found out he's actually the owner of Stones. so, but I didn't know, and actually. Through someone else that I was talking to, uh, 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 Ryan actually said that he was quite impressed that I would let him in. So
Yeah, that things kind of changed after you left. It was a little more relaxed. We were going back there, and
yeah, when I was there, nobody was loved.
yeah, you were. I remember us making those commercials together, and you were a lot. You were very tech savvy. You knew the whole system. Um, any other thoughts about the whole thing? Like, were you shocked when all of the allegations came out?
Yes and no. It's a mixed bag. I mean, I was shocked that a place like Stones that had a real good reputation, as far as I knew, regarding employees, regarding people who visited the place, um, would actually let this happen. Um, but on the same token, it was bound to happen. you All you need is one person to feel slighted and put that person in a position that they could um, maybe make a few more $1,000. I don't know. It's just not worth it to me.
Do you think the person who was helping Mike was feeling slighted?
Yes. Yeah, by two different departments at Stones, at both. If I say one thing, I'm gonna reveal who I think is. Um, but that person definitely felt slighted.
That person is still there.
I believe it.
He is.
Yeah. So yeah, I think they thought that it would be easy, to get somebody with that, with a certain level of skill, tech savviness, and slide someone right in to my position. I'm sure they thought it was easy. Uh, and not that I say I couldn't be replaced. It's just there are just things that I knew about the system that nobody else did, and either A, nobody would listen, or B, it wasn't worth discussing. It was like, well, this is how you do it.
I think they unfortunately, just based off of my interactions, because I was there with you from day one, I think they just didn't appreciate and listen to you.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it.
Which Jake and I were really, really hurt when you left.
Yeah, yeah, I really, I mean, I wished all the best for the show, but I knew it just wouldn't have heart, wouldn't have the same heart.
Yeah. No, it's true. It took them a while to start to figure out how to do things a little better.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It takes time. You have to do it day after day.
So was there anyone that was involved in, while you were there, in making updates to the system, in any software updates or anything besides you?
Knew I did it all. Every update I did, I tested. I mean, at that point we had two shows a week, but I was there like 3, 4, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Plus, I was home, thinking things through. Hooking up different computers. Okay, can I do it this way? So it was a full-time job. Keeping that show up and going.
Yeah.
Updating everything on YouTube, and just pushing everything forward, and trying to keep everything all together. Um,
So, any other thoughts on the whole thing? Anything else you want to tell us?
um, I don't think so. I just want to emphasize this, that I'm just shocked that no lawyers, not the state of California, nobody questioned me or any of the technicians that were working with me about uh, how it could have been done, or was it possible. At that point, I have no idea who they were talking to. It had to be somebody that both you and I know, um, that runs a department over there that actually doesn't know anything
There's no
about
there's
how
no
that system
incentive, right?
works.
The DOJ is funded by casinos.
Yeah.
And there's no incentive to close down Stones. I think if they get charged as federal fraud, it might shut them down.
Yeah.
And there's no incentive to do that. And they employ
Sure.
a ton of people. And, they collect a lot of tax dollars off of them. I think there's just no incentive. Unfortunately, this is just a small thing to them that will be swept under the rug. And they'd like to continue it with business as usual. Um,
Hmm.
did you see the lawsuit where Mike's lawyers have asked to be removed from the case?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He has been such a scumbag to the poker community and just stole from us and then wasted our time and money with this, like, having to file an anti-slap, and he's out of money and he's just ruining everyone's life around him. He's just a piece of shit. I just fucking hate him.
Yeah, the only thing I know about him is what I've read, because I don't have any,
He didn't play that
any
often before he was cheating. That's the thing. And then that's
right,
all he did when he started cheating.
right. All of a sudden, he was on the stream a real lot. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And maybe we could get an update from you at some point if we need one. I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to tell you a
Okay.
few things.
Okay. Cool.